Hi, I'm Sean from Leave It to Us, and you're listening to Mikey's Untitled Music Show.
Welcome to Mikey's Untitled Music Show, guys. Today we're going to dive into the musical minds of the band Leave It to Us. Today we got Sean Tapiero and Micah Tapp from the band Leave It to Us. How you doing, guys?
Great, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing really well. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate this. You guys are following me with my musical journey, and yeah, gonna have some fun. Um, so, Micah, how long has the band been together?
They've been together longer than I've been with the band. I was actually the last person to join. I think they got together in 2010, maybe. And I didn't join until about 2013.
Okay, Sean, how did the band get started up?
Yeah, that sounds about right. So Dustin and Evan initially started the band. It's a funny story. It started with the popular game Rock Band. Um, we used to get together and play at Dustin's house, the drummer. And one day, Evan, the bassist and the other vocalist, comes to me and he says, "Hey, me and Dustin have been talking, and we think we want to do this band thing like for real." And I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, man. Like, Dustin's birthday's coming up. He's gonna ask for a drum set, and I play the bass on Rock Band, so I figured it's really cool. I figured I'll give it a shot on the bass." And I was a pretty good Guitar Hero player and Rock Band player, so he was like, "You should learn to play guitar, and then we'll do this for real." And I said, "No, man, that's." I was like, "Look, that's just a video game. I can't really play guitar. I'm not good at it. I tried once when I was 8 and it never stuck. I was like, it's just not going to happen." So he said, "All right." And Dustin and Evan started the band themselves. I want to say 2010 or 2009, 2010, circa 2010. Um, and so I was just, at first, I was just a fan. I was on the sidelines as one of their friends and supporters.
Mm.
Um, so they started the band with two other members, and they would do like the garage band thing and just work the live long day in the garage listening to covers and playing Blink-182 covers. And I didn't actually join until about 2013, 2012, 2013, when we were all in college. And then shortly after, maybe about a year or so after, we found Micah.
Mm. Okay.
Yep.
And Micah, what made you want to like join this band?
Actually, it was Dustin's dad that reached out. He had heard some of my own solo work on some website somewhere. And yeah, I listened to a bunch of their songs and I thought, wow, it's the music that kind of grabbed me. And I thought, all right, they're younger, they learned from GarageBand, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, let me show up. Why not? When I showed up, I didn't know how many other people were auditioning, so I said, how am I gonna get a leg up here? And I brought him a Papa John's pizza and a 2 liter of Dr. Pepper.
I gotta do
So kind of won him over, yeah.
That won me over immediately. I can't lie. As soon as I saw that pizza in his hand, I was like, you know what? This guy's all right. This guy's all right.
Yeah.
What kind of pizza was it?
I think
Honestly, I
you go
think it was
with
like
the,
a
didn't you go with the very safe? He came with two pies, actually. I think he might have done like a cheese and then a pepperoni, just the standard,
very,
All
very
right.
simple.
like two options. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and out of how many people were auditioning for the band, Sean?
So at that moment, it's funny, we had just come off of Warped Tour. We played a couple of dates, and our lead guitarist at the time was having a rough go of it. He was like, man, like he was really sweating in the heat, because Warped Tour happens in the summer.
Hmm.
We live in Florida, so the heat is unrelenting here. And we had played the Tampa date, and after that, he said, "Man, I can't wait for us to be doing this in like the RV and not having to carry our own gear everywhere." And we all sort of looked at him and we were like, "Dude, that's a ways away. I mean, we're going to be
Yeah.
slumming it in the van, no AC, no showers, like until further notice. I mean, maybe the bus one day, but this
Yeah.
is a grind until we get there, you know? And after we said that to him, I think something snapped into perspective for him, and he just flat out told us, he's like, "Look, I just don't have it in me. You know, I can't really, I can't really do the grind the way you guys can." And shortly after that, we started looking for applicants, but it was really what Micah didn't know was it was really just him. We had one other guy. Yeah, we had one other guy try out, and he was a super like cool guy, and like he was like the type of dude that like we could hang out with. And he'd come over all the time and he was into all the same stuff as us. And we were like, oh, this guy's really cool. And we jammed one time. We had like a session one time where we jammed out and we were like, cool, man. Like we'll talk to you soon. And we were kind of dead set on him. And when we reached out to him the next day, he ghosted us. And so we just like we never heard from him ever again. Like we couldn't
Damn.
find him on social media or any. It was almost like it was a figment of our imagination. But like all three of us were there and we saw it. So obviously it
Yeah.
happened. But we couldn't figure out why. Like it was so he was such a cool guy and like we all got along well. And maybe he was letting us down easy. I don't know. But we never spoke to him again. And the very next person that we found was Micah through Dustin's dad. And the rest was history, man.
I've actually never heard that side of it. I mean, I didn't even have to get a pizza here. Like I'm out like
Yeah.
20 plus bucks here.
But I'm
Yeah.
glad you
At least
did.
25. At least $25.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you did. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad you
me
did.
too. Me too.
Micah, what's one of the first memories or like well, yeah, one of the first memories or like, what that you first remember being creative or using your creativity with music?
With music in general.
With music.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty young. I was classically trained. My dad's an organist, choir master, and
Mm.
so he got me started on piano really young, singing guitar really young. Um, Creatively though, um, I think I really branched out in later on in high school, like last couple years in high school, and started writing my own stuff. I got a hold of some recording equipment, and it all kind of flowed out. I ended up making something like 80 tracks of just all instrumental stuff that who knows, some of it has been used in like local Orlando TV commercials and other stuff. Like
Oh,
someone used it
nice.
for a soundtrack to one of their films from Full Sail. So that's pretty cool. But for me, it was just to get it out, just to it was like musical vomit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
get that. What about you, Sean? What's the first time you kind of, sat down and thought, I can do this thing? Or was it after that rock band?
Yeah, so as fate would have it, Evan is actually the one that taught me guitar. And I remember at first it was like, that was kind of like our phase because Evan and Dustin had the band. Everybody in our friend group like kind of wanted to like be musical in some capacity. So another close friend of ours was also in the band at the time. So a lot of our like hangouts would be around like a bonfire with a guitar or whatever. Sounds kind of corny, but like we started kind of leaning into music. And then when I got into college, I went to UCF, University of Central Florida, in Orlando with Dustin. The two of us roomed together and we lived together. And in that time, I was like, you know what? I do want to learn. Like all my friends play an instrument. It'd be fun to also be able to join them because right now I'm just watching them jam and I feel left out and it kind of sucks.
Hmm.
So I asked Evan one day, I'm like, hey man, would you be willing to teach me? I just want to learn, maybe jam out for a little bit, maybe impress some girls, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I had the idea of being in the band. There just wasn't an opening yet. But I thought, hey, if I'm prepared and there ever is an opening, it's best that I'm ready for when my name is called, you know?
Yeah.
So Evan taught me guitar over Zoom, like just like in a room like this, like, and I was on a crappy little like Yamaha that my mom had bought at like a yard sale in Colombia in like the 1980s. You know, it was like the only thing I had. And
Uh,
poor Dustin, who was living in the same room as me in the same dorm room, was like listening to me mess up over and over and over again. But you know, eventually I got it down, and sure enough, a spot opened up, and yeah, I just kind of wiggled my way in. But I would say around 2012, 2013 is about when I first felt like, oh, I could do this, and like maybe I can be musically inclined. So yeah.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Is there like a like a band or like genre of music that kind of, or we'll stick with you, Sean, that kind of um, also led you in that direction? Or was it a certain kind of music that you've always listened to, or maybe some kind of song that kind of like, oh damn, that I can't believe they can make music like that.
Yeah, you know, for me, um, it was just like I found heavy influence in like other pop punk, you know, like I was a pretty social, like it's funny, I never was really, and I feel like I could speak for Micah too, where like I was never really like the the stereotypical like emo kid that really like channeled emotions through pop punk. I've just always really loved it, you know, like, but you would never have known that about me like when I was growing up to love it. You know, I didn't dress typically that way or like have like a hairstyle that way. Like I don't have any tattoos. Even now I'm kind of I kind of don't fit the bill, so to speak, but I've always loved pop punk music and like particularly like Cartel and All Time Low and Fall Out Boy. Like those bands just used to set my soul on fire. Like every time I'd listen to them. So I'd always when I started playing guitar, I had aspired to make music that was gonna just like set me on fire the same way that those bands songs do, you know? So I would say like I've always been like I'm still chasing that dream song where I'm like where I can sit back and listen and be like, yeah, this is great. And I think honestly with the last two songs that we recorded that haven't been released yet, we've kind of hit that mark.
So we
But
got Evan here, the bassist and the lead singer of the band now. Thank you for joining us, Evan.
once again, thank you for having me, man. It's an honor.
Um, so right now we're just kind of getting into what kind of started our musical creativity um like, well, right now I just asked what genre or artist we've been or what genre or artist that really resonates with you or really influenced your music that you have right now. What's a band or a genre where you kind of like, damn, I want to be like that.
Well, for me, what got me into bass playing was the Strokes. That was a band that kind of just really intrigued me a lot when I was like in middle school and high school. My older brother used to listen to them a lot in the car, and I just there's not a lot of bands that like the bass like really has like a prominent role, but I feel like in the Strokes you hear it a lot more, like almost where it's another lead in a way. And I
Mm.
just loved like some of the bass lines they were throwing down, so that made me want to play bass guitar. And then simultaneously, one of my biggest influences, of course, Blink 182. Mark Hoppus kind of resonating with me and being like, just their whole persona, like, three best friends, laughing, having a good time. That was kind of always what we wanted for us because we've all been close friends all this way. So, the way they kind of go about their things and like how he sings and plays and, their style, I guess those are the two biggest bands that really resonated with me in my musical career.
And Micah, what's one of those bands or music genres that kind of that, yeah, like cemented, this is the kind of music that I want to do.
I'm pretty eclectic with my music choices. I think one band that really stuck out for me was Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, hell yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I don't really consider myself growing up in a different era than these guys.
Mm.
Pop punk was always huge. I mean, my first concert was Green Day.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but Pumpkins were big. Muse is big, but even bands like Coldplay. Um, so I'm kind of all over the map.
Yeah, we just watched I think it was Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins. this
Yeah.
this last tour here where they came in San Diego. We also watched Blink-182 when they came down as well. They played with Pierce the Veil.
Yeah,
Really good.
actually, I took my dad to the Denver show where Pumpkins opened up for Green Day.
Okay, nice. Hell yeah. They
Yeah.
played Dookie and American Idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's insane.
it's cool because those are my two favorite. Green Day behind System of a Down. System of a Down's like my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
But Green Day is like my second, is like right there, right next to it. I pretty much found them both at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, I found my uncle had Spiders, or not Spiders, had System of a Down, like the self title. They had that first one with spiders on it. And I remember listening to Mind and just being like, "Oh my God, this is nuts." Like what is this thing? And
Yeah.
then around the same time, my or maybe about probably like a year earlier or something, when we still had cassettes back in the day, I had found a Dookie cassette. I think it might have been my aunts or my uncles or something like that. And I was just looking for new music because I'd already listened to all the cassettes.
Yeah.
We didn't really buy a whole lot of like new music or anything like that. I would just get it from like other people. So I was like, "Oh, Green Day, cool. I know one of their songs." And it was Dookie, and it just that album also just kind of blew my mind away. And then when American Idiot first came out, that fucking just
Yeah.
changed my teenage life forever. It made me a little more emo at the time. But yeah, getting to watch both of those bands it was really awesome. It's
So from that Dookie album, actually, I was learning guitar at the time. Must have been 7 or 8 years old, and I remember sitting in my room for like 5 hours and playing just one finger at a time on one string. Like when I come around, basket
oh
case.
yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, Evan, you were one of the founding members of the band.
Yeah, so the drummer and I are the original members, but Sean's been our best friend since we were like 11, 12 years old. So having him join forces with us when we were going through a rough patch and lost one of our guitarists was a blessing, man. He came through, freshman year of college for us when we weren't even sure if we could keep this thing going. And he picked up the guitar, learned it very, very quickly. And when he started playing shows with us, man, we just got that jolt of energy where we're like, all right, we're back in this thing. Like we're feeling it again. And, and yeah, man, the drummer is the other original member. We were rocking it out in his garage. His parents were very cool to let us play there and make a lot of noise, in our high school days. And very thankful to still be doing it.
And your guys' first album was Never Turn Back. Um, or is that your first album?
Yeah, that we had done a few little mini releases before that, but we were just thinking something really ambitious and still proud of a few of the tracks. A lot more of it is experimental,
Mm.
but just to say that we putting all those hours into the studio, as a teenager, man, going to school all day and then going to the studio from like after school to like 9, 10 p.m., 4 days out of the week for a few months. It was a really, really cool experience. So I think even though some of the songs I can't really stomach listening to that much, to be honest with you these days, some of them still bring up a lot of fond memories.
Um, Going through your guys' like music, the music that you guys have made, um, I happened to stumble upon one of the songs that I had lost for a long time. I remember
Okay.
this song. I remember listening to this song. I was listening to that first album, and I can't get over you till you get out from under him. Bro, I know that song.
Yeah.
It's like one of those songs that like I was listening to the song and I hear that and I'm like, wait, I've heard this song before.
That the fun fact, that's the very first song that we ever wrote as a group.
Oh,
So
really? That's
it
awesome.
felt fitting to put that as like the last track of the album because I
Uh,
really can't count the bonus track a real song. uh I guess we'll call that more of a ballad, but yeah, man, that one still pretty hard. I do like that one still.
I was like, damn,
That's cool
that's
that you remember that one.
yeah, I was like, damn, that's so cool. I haven't heard this song in like in forever. And then I got to Even If We Fall, and then I li started listening to Waiting on You. I'm like, fuck, I know this song. I know this, like, you know what I mean? Like it's awesome. It's cool when you find like I'm so sad that I lost like my old iPod and my old
Mm.
Zoom because it had so much different pop punk music from around that time that, was on the MySpace pages and fucking, all that
Yeah.
like, all that stuff. So it's really cool when you finally find a song again and you're like, oh shit, that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
Sean,
I love that.
were you guys a part of the Even If We Fall album? Like, did
So
you?
I was just kind of transitioning into the band around that time.
Mhm.
I didn't record anything on it, but that was sort of in the time where they were transitioning out of the original lead guitarist,
Mhm.
and I filled in as rhythm, and then the rhythm guitarist that they had at the time bumped up to lead. So it was around that time, but I think I officially joined after that EP was cut.
And then Micah, when you guys finally get into to the studio together, or not even the studio, maybe your first jam session, you're coming into a band that, everybody knows each other and everybody's close to each other. Was there any kind of like, I don't want to say complications, but maybe a challenge uh to like try to get like fit into the band, or was it just
For for me, my point of view, no, because I have been in plenty of other bands and jammed with plenty of other people. So it was sort of just like another project for me. Um, they might be better at answering that question because, um, I mean, we've definitely bonded over the years, and I wouldn't still be in the band if it wasn't for both the music and the guys.
yeah.
So there's a camaraderie there that is kind of uh, built in through the years.
Evan, would you happen to know what Micah's what
Yeah,
Micah's
man.
saying?
When he tried out with us, he came through with pizza. He came through with what, like Dr. Pepper or something.
Dr.
He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Pepper.
man,
yeah.
let's
We spoke
rock.
about that.
And
Yeah.
what a not just a great first impression just in that regard, but sometimes you just meet somebody and you're like, we're cut from the same cloth. And Micah was just definitely one of them dudes where like we just you meet him and you feel like you already knew him a long time. And he fit right in with us, man. And in a time of so much uncertainty where we had just lost another member and it was just me, Sean, and Dust again. We were, there was about a year's time where once again we were kind of faced with this like difficult decision of like how do we bounce back from this? Do we go three piece and it just wouldn't have felt the same. Like it would have been a lot more complicated to do the live shows that we want to do, to have the kind of fun that we have, and then Micah comes in and just saves the band, man. I always said he is the savior of Leave It to Us because without him, I don't know if we could have kept this thing going. So, he comes in, just joins the brotherhood right away. And maybe he didn't know it at the time that it was going to be a long term thing. But I think after a year or two of playing shows together, we just already, were so close and had so many inside jokes together. There was no way we could stop, man. And I'm not just saying because of recency bias, but it's definitely like my all time favorite lineup that we had. Because the original lineup with the guys that we started with, not bad dudes, just they were all they just had different motives, different ideas of what the band should be, and luckily, like with us, we all kind of when we're in the studio or writing music together, it's fun. It's nobody's egos gets in the way, and we can just make music that we enjoy, and it's a lot of fun to do that kind of stuff with your best friends, man.
Micah, how was that first record? Like that first record that you guys made yourselves? Like, um, what kind of like how open do you have to be when you go into like something like that, something new like that, where everybody, you don't, you kind of know what ideas or like what kind of music you guys enjoy or like, but um,
Yeah.
going into that, how did that feel?
I I clung a little more to the EP rather than the album. And that's actually one of the first two or three songs I heard was a pop punk song that had a key change in it. And I thought, no one's doing that right now. Why can't we do that more often? And he's got a good voice and the bass sounds good and the drums sound good. Like I can work with this. That'd be awesome. Um, I've auditioned for other bands as well, and it sort of didn't have the same. We weren't on the same page all the time. Um, and I think it's even funny now. After playing with the band forever, they sometimes say, "Oh yeah, we found Micah 2 weeks ago on Craigslist." I'm like, "All right, cool, that works." Um, but but yeah, it was the music originally that brought me in, and so when I got actually Evan showed me a lot of stuff. Um, from the stuff that he wrote, he's like, "Do you hear that in the background?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me grab a hold of that." I'd practice it. I'd come back to the next rehearsal, and I put my flair on it and just see like their reaction. And nine times out of ten, they're positive. So yeah, it grew from. I mean, the first album, I look at that as like these guys are wanting to do something, and they're going for it, and they're a lot of the songs, like I was just like, these are not bad. Snakes is still one of my favorites, or 246. Like I love those songs.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought, cool. So they got out a whole album. They did it. It's like it's out there. They've already put it into the world. What's gonna happen next? And so that's when I started getting a little more creative. Within the band, and I was able to take a few more chances. And I remember Evan came up to me one night and said, "You know what? Live or in the studio, I see what you're trying to do, and I'm digging it. So just go with it." And I go, "Cool, thanks." So it was sort of like permission to take that uh, creative leap.
Uh, Sean, when you get into the band, like you first start in the band and you're kind of like helping out in the beginning. Like did you kind of have like maybe like a little bit imposter syndrome because um it's not normal for maybe like the audience or the fans to see you, or was there anything like anything concerning to you coming into the band other than I'm sure you were nervous and stuff like that, but um like was there anything that you felt was challenging when you first came in, when or whenever you were trying to bring in like your creativity, your flair into it, like how was that when you first got into the band?
So yeah, that's a good question. I think I spent the first like 6 months just freaking out about the fact that it happened. Because it's like I told you, like Evan had taught me how to play guitar, and it felt like it kind of came straight out of a movie where they had just fired their lead guitarist, and they were like, "Well, we've got a show at the end of the month, and we have no lead guitarist. Like, what are we gonna do?" So I was like, and this is at this point, Evan had been teaching me chords and songs, and I'd been teaching myself songs for, I want to say maybe like 8 months or something, maybe like a year at this point.
Hmm.
And I finally stepped up and realized that was my moment, and I was like, I'll do it, and after some debate and some doubt, they were like, all right, well, we really have no choice, and Sean lives with us, so let's just try it out. So Evan taught me all of like the originals that they had written up to that point, and I think I must have practiced like 5 hours a day up until the day of that very first show, because I'd never played electrically. I'd only ever played acoustically. So Evan was like, "Listen, man, if no pressure, but if you fuck up, it's gonna be way worse than it would be on an acoustic guitar." So he's like, also, you've never played standing up. only ever played sitting down. And believe it or not, that's a huge difference, which of course it was.
Hmm.
So I had to practice on an electric guitar that Evan was uh kind enough to loan me. He's like, here's my little starter amp and my electric guitar. Like just practice the songs every day. And every day I was in my room standing up playing for like 5 hours, just learning this 8 song set list that we were gonna play at the end of the month. And we get to the show and um, we pull it off. It went off with, there were a couple of hitches, but I got through it, and it was a really proud
Yeah.
moment for me. So I don't know that I would say I feel the imposter syndrome because I feel like I went through I felt every piece of the preparation and time that it took to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I did all of it, and it was very grueling because I was kind of going against the grain. It was something that I had told myself for years I'd never be able to do. And I didn't really ever think I was musically inclined. So it just felt like an uphill battle the whole time. But like to the point where when you finally get up there, you're like, yeah, I deserve this. Like um, I don't really feel like I took this job from anyone else. Like I worked hard for it.
Yeah.
In terms of like my own creative ideas, um, everybody's pretty open, which has been really nice. Like I really shine lyrically is like where like my strengths come in, and I know that I can talk to any of these guys and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And they're pretty open-minded. Like obviously you got to make sure the whole band loves it, and sometimes there are things you got to tweak because maybe one of the members doesn't resonate with it or whatever. Like, but we do it in a pretty efficient way. Nobody's feelings are really hurt, and it's weird, but we tend to approach songwriting as like a sort of practicality. Like we do it in such a practical sense where we're like, well, these lines wouldn't really make sense for this reason. Like, I know that's not like a really like a musician answer, but we kind of have this like brainchild of like, well, we don't ever want to say anything that just sounds musical for the sake of it being musical. So the four of us work really hard together to make sure that we're all heard and accepted, but also make sure that this song makes sense, that we're all like kind of speaking the language of the song. So every time we get in the studio, it's a pretty good time. Everyone's got something to contribute, and we're all really open to each other's ideas. So it's been great.
Evan, what was the first song like you guys as a band now, like how you guys your band now, what was like the first song or the first uh like track that you guys kind of worked on together first?
So the first original piece was "Moving On," which is such a fun track,
Mhm.
such an energetic track that I still love to listen to it. I love to play it live. Like that song still like just means so much to me because that's like the start of the new era of us, like the four of us. But the first thing we recorded together, because we were kind of on the tail end of this kind of strange management deal that we were on, where we were trying to do some like really weird, different stuff with like cover songs and cover music videos. So we recorded J. Cole Power Trip and Owl City Beautiful Times. That was our first recordings of the four
God.
of us. But moving on was the first original song that we all four created together. Um, and I'll just call that the first one.
Wow, I'm embarrassed to even remember that. I didn't even know, man, I don't even remember that was
I,
the
you
first.
know what?
And and
I not only remember it, I love that time. I want everyone to go see both of those videos, J. Cole Power Trip and Owl City. Beautiful times. I think those videos, I mean, they're not all that great, but the fact that we went through it, that was some bonding time right there.
it was, and if I may just say to everybody listening to this, I'm so sorry for my mutton chop thing that I had going on in those two videos, man. I was going through it, man.
Yeah,
I
that
had
that
I
was
had
pretty
the
weird.
absolute worst kind of facial hair thing going that I still look to this day and I'm like, what the heck was I doing? But but the songs are still cool. But yeah, no, moving on was incredible. I love that song. And then we did kind of like a B-side track that same day. We recorded the song called Bitter Luck, which is also like very experimental, very out there, very different than our other stuff, but still a really cool song that just kind of was just manifested in the studio. Like it was just one verse, one chorus, and when we had a little bit of extra time in the studio that day, and we were with a very talented producer, Jim Ebert, we were like, you know what, we got time for a B side. Let's do it. And that song is really, really cool. Definitely worth a listen if anybody wants to check that one out. I still like that one a lot.
Um, Micah, you guys have like music videos. Um,
We do.
what's it like going into your first music video and like you're not really playing, you're not like it's lip syncing and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but like was it surreal or like how did it feel for you?
Well, I had been in a few music videos back in high
Oh,
school,
okay.
so I kind of sort of got the same, but it wasn't the same production as with these guys. I mean, we had like a professional studio, and they had the right cameras and lighting and stuff, so that part was great. Like they stepped it up quality wise. Um, yeah, in terms of like shooting with the guys, it was more like a day of fun for us. It was kind of like hurry up and then wait and then go over here and wear this and then pretend to do this, and it's more acting, which is it's kind of funny. I've done that as well for almost 10 years. So it was sort of the same thing. It's like you're on set and you do your thing and you hope it's good. Do a few takes and keep going.
Sean, what about you, buddy?
Um, man, I was just thinking back on it.
Because the first music video we all did together was the Power Trip one, right?
Was
Power
it?
trip, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if I would even consider that. Like, I guess I guess what you would call that today is like a visualizer. You know how like they've got like varying names for things like that? Like I would say the power trip was like a visualizer, and that because it
I
was
would
like,
agree.
like it
Oh,
was just like the four of us were like in a rehearsal space and it was super like kind of like guerrilla style where like, LeVar, our friend, what's LeVar's last name?
I don't.
Davis, I believe.
LeVar Davis, who
Yeah.
shot the video for us. Super cool guy. We had worked with him a couple of times. Um, but he was like, "Hey, you guys just like rock out, do your thing, and I'll just capture different moments." And so that was fun because it felt more like a rehearsal. But I would say the real taste that we had of a music video experience came from the Moving On video, and that was a ton of fun. I mean, that
Yeah,
Oh
was
yeah.
something that our management at the time had set up. I want to say it was in Miami at the Toe Jam something it was
yeah,
called.
Such a cool
Um,
place.
yeah, just a cool venue
And
that like you could tell was set up for music videos. So
Mm.
we recorded a lot of it there. We had like two or three different locations, but that was just a lot of fun to see like all of these moving parts coming together for us. Like there were people like moving lighting and cameras and people with food and snacks and all that. And it was
and sets and like stage pieces, a
yeah,
plot. Like
it was
the
like a pinch me moment, like, wow, all these people are here working for us, like for something that we created, and
Yeah.
it was a really great sense of pride. And I was like, I just thought of it like this is a milestone, like no matter what happens, whether the band continues or not, like this is a cool milestone to say that like something that the four of us put together is is believed in so much to the point where there's a whole production crew behind it trying to
Mm.
make it happen. So it
yeah.
was a great, great experience.
I
Oh
would say
yeah.
the first two videos are more performance based, and so we're just kind of jamming out to the song, and they happen to be filming. But
Right.
like the moving on video tells a story through the video, and that's the
Exactly.
thing. I want to get into that a little more often with videos in the future. Is like even if it's on mute, I want you to see how the story unfolds.
Right.
Yeah. Super, super cool experience. and that was actually all shot in one day. And
That's
shout
right.
out to that whole
Yeah.
crew, man. I mean, they were super talented. They had a good vision for it, and we were just locked in, man. We had such a fun day together. And just to kind of look back, and like Sean said, it's just a moment in time. But I think that's also why that song still means so much to me. Is that just the song, the video, everything that encapsulates that song is just a great telling of like a new era for us, and that's why I think that video holds up so well. And I would love to, get back out there with the boys and do another high budget production like that because it was badass. It really was. It's
No,
no
yeah,
doubt.
I bet, dude. Like, yeah, it must have been like that's what I was kind of thinking also, like while you're answering, Sean, like it must have been a little like crazy for like all of these people to be there like just for you, right? Like do you guys or actually let me pivot a little. Like when you first got up into the stage, Evan, like is there a lot of difference between like the nerves you get then versus the nerves you get now, or is it still pretty much because I get kind of like different answers. I kind of get, oh no, I'm comfortable, or like oh no, I'm still fucking nervous with like as soon as I get up there, like
The,
what's it
the,
like for you?
the weird thing for me, and it's been this way since the very first show to present time, man, the more people I perform in front of, the less nervous I am.
Hmm.
When I perform in front of like one person, like my fiance or like her family, I'm nervous as hell. I don't know why. Like if it's just me and acoustic guitar, I'm like my heart's racing. But if I'm playing like with the boys with me on stage and we got 200 plus people watching us, I feel right at home, man. It's like the more people involved, I can just relax and have fun and lock in. But when I feel like, when you can kind of notice an individual's person's like reaction to how you're playing versus like when you just have a whole blob of people, it all is just like they're jamming out, they're having fun, whatever. But I don't know, man. For me, it's just like the less people I play in front of, I just get way more nervous. It's always been that way for me.
What was it like for you, Micah? Like the first time you stepped out onto, um, I mean, like you said, you've been in bands before and stuff, but like the first time you get
Yeah.
on with a new band and you kind of feel like, oh, this is kind of like home with these guys. How does it feel that first time when you get up there with them?
It takes some getting used to with the band that you play with. I've jumped up on stage before with, something like 10 minutes of preparation where
Mm.
I'm looking over notes and double checking chords and keys and all that. Um, and you just kind of have to wing it and you're going to be nervous the whole time and oh well. But there's also, I think there's a video my mom may have of me as a 6 year old in a piano recital. And the thing is, they announce your name, you walk up on stage, you go to the piano, you play your piece, and that's it. Well, they called my name, walked up on stage, my hands were in my pockets like it was another day. And I sat down at the piano and I played my piece, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Can we go get some ice cream or something? Like it was not even a thing.
Was your hair still sticking up even back then, bro?
It sure was.
Probably was,
He,
yeah.
he used the ice cream. He used the ice cream to stick it up.
Yeah, just right there. Um, yeah, but I think with this band, maybe the first gig was a little, I was a little under pressure on that first gig, but it was after that I thought, okay, wait, these guys, they know me, they know, what I'm capable of. I think I can spread my wings a little and kind of breathe through most of it, and no big nerves after that first or second show.
John, you were kind of saying that, I mean, you were kind of talking about it earlier that, like how nervous you were when you first got in there and, the concerns you had about, I don't know how to play standing up or, you were practicing. When did you get like super confident, or are you ever like super confident when you get up there? Like I know for me when I do these interviews or when I do something that I know is gonna kind of have like a big change, I guess. I'm nervous. Like I'm super nervous. Like my stomach like hurts and I sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel nauseous. But I don't feel nervous up until like 30 minutes before I actually like do the thing, you know. I feel fine. My wife is always like, "You don't feel nervous? You don't feel nervous?" I'm like, "Not yet. Not yet." Like, you know what I mean? Did you find that confidence pretty fast or would you say like you still get pretty nervous up there?
Honestly, present day, it's pretty second nature. I'm really, really excited to get up there, and I look forward to it. And it's just like Evan said. I mean, w the more people that are in that room, I mean, I'm telling you, if you come to a show, you'd see we're so polished, and we have such a chemistry up there. Like we really could be one of these major headlining acts. Like the way we throw a show together, our onstage banter between songs, like we just have such a polished like packaged product of a show, and that just speaks to the years that we've been doing it. I mean, we've been playing with Micah alone, I think 11 years, like 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
So, just like the fact that we all know each other's habits so well, and we can improvise with each other on the fly. We're such a cohesive unit. And it's far and away a long jump from that very first show in Orlando, Florida, where I dropped three guitar picks because I was just trying to focus on standing and playing at the same time. I mean, today it's a night and day difference. I mean, if you look at me up there, I'm an animal. I mean, I'm
Mm.
jumping around. I'm getting the crowd involved. It's we had a show the other day, and I just remember like the only thing tethering me to the 5 foot space that I was in was the fact that I was connected to a guitar wire. Because if I had a wireless set, I might have gone into the crowd with the guitar, you know. So very I'm very mobile these days, and very confident. I love to jump around. I mean, that's like the whole fun to me is to be able to sort of orchestrate the crowd, you know, and like a lot of what a crowd gives you is what you give them. So if you can give them like this hype energy, they'll give it right back to you, you know, and so that's been like the most fun part for me. And now I mean, I look forward to every show. I mean, I have just as much fun as long as there's a crowd there listening. I have just as much fun every single show, and I love doing it.
It's amazing. That's beautiful. Uh, when you first or like when you lost your bandmates in the beginning, what made you want to like keep going or what motivated you to keep going or to um yeah, well, pretty much to keep going. Like you kind of like the band. I don't know if it fell apart or how it happened, but like you lose two guys so that you lose half of your band. So like what's that motivation that keeps you like, we're gonna fucking do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, in total, we actually lost three.
Oh,
Um, and it was like year after year, and then like a 2 year period with the last guy before we lost him. But it was tough each time, man, because in the moment you think, you got the squad, you're ready to take this thing as far as you can take it, but you never know, other people's motives or other people's ambition, and then when you think like, hey, we're all on the same page, and then you find that they're not, or maybe they're going through some stuff at home, or personal issues that start to bleed into the practicing, the recordings, the shows. It was sad to see, man. It was sad to see for the first guy. Kyle, he was a good dude, but he just had a lot of things going on, maybe at home and maybe with himself too, that his heart wasn't in it. And then with David, he just who was someone that we were, Sean and Dust and I were all very close with, for a very long time. And he just became a little unhappy with not only his personal life and situation, but also the music. He something that like we used to I remember senior year when we made Never Turn Back, and he played lead guitar on that album. We drive around, we got Wendy's, we listen in the car, we listen to these songs, we were smiling and laughing, we're like, man, this is awesome. And then one day to the next, it felt like he wasn't proud of that stuff anymore. and it hurt. It hurt a lot. It hurt Dustin and I a lot because we were so proud of the product that we made together. So when he just decided one day, this music sucks, this isn't what I like anymore. I'm more into, the Metallica and the heavier kind of metal, and this pop punk stuff is dumb. It hurt us a lot. And then so we knew that when we had to have that difficult conversation with him, that detachment wasn't so hard because for the sake of Dustin and I to keep this thing going, we needed at least, to have people in it that enjoyed this thing with us.
Mhm.
So Sean was such a natural and great fit for us, man. So, and because we all love that kind of music, and we're all great friends, so it was so easy. But then we pick up all this momentum. We're playing shows all over the state of Florida. We went out to California for a music awards show that we were nominated for an independent music award. We're doing all this cool stuff. We played St. Petersburg Warp Tour, and we thought we were finally, breaking the wall and getting to that next level. And that day that we played Warp Tour, Brian, the lead guitarist at the time, said, "I don't want to do this anymore. Like, if this is the work that I got to put in to get this done, I don't want to be a part of it anymore." And that was the hardest blow because we grinded so hard, and Sean can attest to this. We grinded so hard those 2 years to just try to have a seat at the table with all these guys, because a lot of these bands that we were like playing shows around, like great musicians, great music, but it never felt like it was something that we couldn't do ourselves. We started to see that success, and then we take that hit. And for that next year, man, in between finding Micah, that was the hardest year of the band for us. I mean, we, the few people that came by the house to try out, just no connection, no camaraderie, and we just felt like we directionless. We didn't know if this thing was going to sustain itself, and it was not easy, man, and it wasn't easy. But I'm happy to say this lineup, like Sean said, 11 years strong, the four of us, and as long as as long as we can keep doing this thing, we want to just keep going till the wheels fall off, because of
Yeah.
that friendship that we have.
And then Micah, like so you guys had a new single called Feels Like Friday. It
Yep,
came out last month, right?
it did. Yeah.
It came out last month.
Couple months ago now.
Oh, okay. So what was it like, or what is it like now going into a new venture, new song, that like what is it like when you guys get into the room together? Is it like you guys write separate and then bring everything back, or like what's that style like now?
Um,
Writing songs?
yeah, I think a lot of our songs are ideas at first, and we kind of build on them, and each person puts in like an equal 25%. So it's rare to find that, at least in my experience. And
It feels very much like a snowball effect, doesn't it? Like
yeah,
so, like sometimes we've written whole songs out of like Micah will be like, "Hey, here's a riff." And like it'll
that's
be
how
like
moving on
a 10
started.
second, yeah, like a 10-second riff. We'll be like, that's pretty cool. And Evan will write like a bass line to it or something. Dustin will put like a drum on it. I can start writing lyrics to it. So it's kind of like we kind of all attack it together, you know?
Mhm.
And if we do have ideas separately, we sort of gather them and then bring it to the table and be like, all right, here's everything that I'm thinking. What about this? And then we try to piece it together from there. And if it works, then we move on. And if not, we tend to go to our like drawing boards, whether that's like alone or with one or two other people. Like I remember so it's a funny story about like moving on. Like when we wrote Moving On, we had the studio time booked for a while and we procrastinated actually writing the lyrics until the day before the session. So we were all in, I remember it was we were up in Orlando. We were staying at Evan and Dustin's place at the time. And we were just up late writing lyrics or whatever. I'm like writing them in a journal. And I'm like, what about this? What about this? And we're just like, we're crossing off what we don't like and, keeping what we do like and stuff like that. So like Sometimes it's pretty hectic, but like we kind of make diamonds under that pressure, and it's not the
Mhm.
only time we've ever gone into the studio without like everything laid out. I would say more often than not, we're figuring it out in the studio, like in the process of it, but it comes together pretty organically, I think.
Yeah, and then you find those. That's usually how a lot of, bands or even writers, like some of their best work come from like last minute ditches or last minute, writing. Like I know when I used to write like in high school or in college or whenever, like they would always tell me, "Oh, are you done yet? Are you done?" I'm like, "No, I haven't even fucking started." But like I write this paper like the day before and I get a B on it. So it's like cool, like I really didn't try that much,
Right? Yeah.
but like it comes out, right? Like once you start writing, it just kind of like bears out at you or pours out of you. Um,
I would say we get probably our most creative, like in the studio, a little bit experimental, and that's really something I cling on to. The more experimental, the more crazy, the better. I need to keep things
Yeah.
interesting for me, and we can write like good pop punk bangers. There's guilty pleasure and moving on and stuff, but like it's when we try new stuff that uh, it reintroduces I don't know, inspiration into the song.
like
When we
reignites.
Yeah, and when we play some of these newer tracks, like Feels Like Friday live, at first I mean, it can be a rocky road, and other times you're just like, okay, we played it just like the album, and then it's like, okay, well, what can we do differently live to make it even cooler? Like, what could I put in? What else does it need? What are we missing? Why can't
Mhm,
we get a reaction from the crowd here, but it happens here? So,
mhm.
takes a little time with live.
Evan, what do you think it is about music that makes it so like universally appealing? Like you have, crowds of people coming in front of the stage, going into a concert, going to a festival, and they're all there for one thing, and it's the music, right? Like, what do you
Yeah.
think it is about music that brings everybody together?
I think it's just, no matter how different everybody is, when you go out to a show and you're going to watch a band that you enjoy, you're just in the crowd, you're all singing, you all know the words together. It's like you kind of team up. You team up with strangers that may become friends or just, everybody's got their own things, their own situations, their own struggles. But then you go to a show and it's like everybody's just getting along, having a good time. And, all those songs that resonate with you resonates with them in a way that might have helped them in a tough time in their life. And that joy that we get, from, playing these songs and, when we're on stage and we get to not only play our own music and man, I'll tell you, whenever we see people coming out singing our own songs, that means the absolute world, man. But then when we play these cover songs too, that a lot of these songs that we grew up listening to that meant something to us, that helped us through tough times, and seeing people come in and just belting the words back to us, you know, I hope that for all those people we've played to, maybe we were a bright spot in a bad week for them, and they just stumbled upon us and maybe, we were able to cheer them up and make them feel better, man. I think the style of music, some of the songs might have, sad topics, but they're uplifting. And I think for like what we do, man, like this kind of genre, it's very uplifting. So, that's what feels really good about like when we perform this kind of stuff or we write these kind of songs that maybe help somebody when they're having like a tough time in their life.
John, what do you think is the most powerful like aspect of music? Like what is it that brings everybody together?
I think music is a conduit. It has such an ability to hold emotion, and it's something that you can tap into by listening to it. Like You ever feel like you listen to a song and you're automatically transported to maybe a moment in time or a feeling you had the first time you listened to it, or
Mhm.
you associate a certain song with a certain person or a certain event in your life, you know? Um, Music is just one of those channels that there's really nothing else like it. There's nothing else that can really invoke human emotion the way music does. And I think when you get a room or a field or a stadium or an amphitheater full of people that all share that sentiment, like magic happens there because it's kind of one of those places where like regardless of like religion, race, or creed, everybody's there for the purpose of enjoying this music together because it means something to every single one of us. It might
Mhm.
mean something different, but it always means something positive. And that's something that's so beautiful about music is that it's just such a like a positive, uplifting experience for human beings. And we tend to bond over things that we can find similar with other people, right? Like, and that's what music is. At least to me, it's beautiful. Like whether it's me up on stage or me being in the crowd watching another band perform, what I notice is that no matter what, it's a community of people that are willing to be there to feel these just ethereal vibes that you don't really frankly get from anything else. You know, it's just a great escape. And I think that all of us in the room, whether we're on the stage or in the crowd, are there just chasing that, you know, and we want to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves, you know, which is why concerts exist because we all want to feel like we're part of a unit. And when we're there listening to music or making music or playing music, we feel like we're part of that unit.
Mhm. Micah, what is the ultimate what has been the ultimate purpose of music like in your life?
Wow. I don't know if I've ever been asked that. I'd say ultimately happiness, but it's communication. I mean, it's the universal language, I think, beyond what's the other one? Math, universal language. Um, I don't know. It's always been there for me. Whether it's piano, guitar, whatever. It's something I can go to. I can be creative. I can put my feelings down on something and and get it out that way. So it's for me, it's communication and ultimately happiness. Yep.
And my one of my final questions, or my final question, um, you know, I don't know if you guys have spoken about this or not, but um, I like to ask what the band or what your personal message is to the world. What does Leave It to Us? Um, what do they want to project into the world? What's your message?
Hmm. A message that we want to project into the world. You know, man, quite frankly, I don't really know that we have a mission statement or anything like that. We're just four friends that love to make music, and if there are people out there that love to listen, we'll do it for them always. You know, it's it's just I mean the four of us we're pretty easygoing, we're pretty easy to get along with. We just like a good vibe, man. You know, like we're good people that like a good vibe. I'm a pure entertainer at heart. I know that like the rest of these guys could say the same. And we just like to light up the room, man. That's really what it is at the base of it is just we just want to have a good time while showing other people a good time. And we believe that we can do that through this band. And anytime we have, it's felt like a blessing. So
Yeah. All the songs we've recorded and created over the years is just a collection of feelings of bands that meant so much to us and really helped us shape who we are and shape our musical influences. So to anybody that's a fan of this kind of genre or even just alternative music in general, like I invite you to take a chance and check out some of the catalog, man. I feel like there's something for everybody in there. And we love that era. We love that pop punk music, that style, the feelings that it brings, the uplifting feelings it brings. And just trying to keep that sound alive where, a lot of the bands that we grew up listening to, whether they might have gone in another direction to stay relevant, or they just, see a different vision for their band at that point. Well, we're just trying to keep that flame, lit. And that's really what this band is about, man. It's friendship, like Sean said. It's friendship, it's camaraderie, it's just, bringing smiles and bringing happiness to people, and hopefully helping them out. Because just like the songs that shaped me, helped me in some of my darkest times, and kept me going, and kept me going strong. So that's what this band's about, man.
I don't know if the band has a mission statement. I have one for myself, and that's um, to get out any kind of emotion I have, happy, sad, angry, whatever. And not in a bad way, but to be in a good way, a really great distraction from life. There's so much shit in the world and so much drama going on. The
Mhm.
people that try to avoid it can't avoid it anymore. And so if it's, one of our 4 hour shows, then for those 4 hours, that's where I am mentally, physically, emotionally. And I mean, it's the world to me. We actually had a conversation that lasted about, I don't know, 2 minutes between the four of us, and we said, "Hey guys, we're here yet again, year 11 now, and let's have some fun." And then we started the show. Like that's why we're here, for fun.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
well.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to Leave It to Us for joining me and following me on my musical journey as well. I want to thank you guys for taking a chance on me and getting on the show. I really appreciate that. I really
Thanks for
do.
having us.
Sure,
Yeah,
man. Thanks for having
thank you
us.
for having us, man. Really appreciate that.
This was fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really had a lot of fun. But Evan, do you guys have any new music coming out or any shows that you want to talk about, anything like that?
Oh yeah, man. To anybody in the South Florida area, we put on a hell of a show monthly at Fat Cats, which is like, home base for us. Catch us out there if y'all ever want to have a great time with us. And we got new music on the way. We got some new recordings that are completely done, just waiting for the right time to release them. Some of our most ambitious work yet. I'm not just saying it to say it, man. Those tracks are bangers. So just be on the lookout when we
Mhm.
start making those announcements, because we got some fire coming. Some
Yeah.
really, really,
Yeah.
really good stuff coming.
Heat, baby.
Oh yeah.
Some heat coming.
That's that's awesome. I love to hear it, man. Like you guys are still going, you guys are still making new music and it's just I love it, man. I love the music. I love spreading it. I love going to concerts. I love everything about it. And I thought I tried, I tried instruments and I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it, but how can I still stick with music? And I know I want to be in this space. So,
I think
um
you're doing the right thing.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really
And I
appreciate
was gonna say, if you actually you yourself come out to one of our shows, I'll bring the pizza and the Dr. Pepper, okay?
it.
Come on out.
Extra
That's a
pepperoni,
promise.
please.
You got
Extra
it.
pepperoni.
Yeah, definitely.
But but yeah, thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and we'll have the links to all their music, any shows that they got coming up. We're gonna have a music spotlight coming up for them as well pretty soon here. We can add any shows as well. But thank you guys again. I can't thank you guys enough. Anybody for coming on the show, honestly, I can't thank you guys enough for, giving me a
Thank
chance
you.
and allowing me to share. So how we say at the end, everybody be safe and be great. Remember, we share because we care. Hope you have a good one. Peace.
Peace.
Yes, sir.